Don't you wish you could be a kid again? There's a place where that can happen. It's the New England Carousel Museum in downtown Bristol. Tucked in the vintage building at 95 Riverside Avenue in Bristol is a collection of wood animals that come to life and thrive, pleasing kids and kids at heart. For the past 27 years, thousands of visitors have entered the museum and instantly transported back to a time where the only fun you needed was a carousel. You know, Louise, you've spent your entire life and career dedicated to museums. I think I know the answer to this question after talking to you, but I have to think that the New England Carousel Museum here in Bristol has got to be the love of your life.
There's no question that I'm passionate about this subject matter, and I'm thrilled to pieces with the evolution of this museum. To have, from the beginning, the opportunity to hopefully bring my vision to fruition has been a real treat for me in my lifetime. But no one person does it by themselves, and as you know, I've been surrounded by fabulous people, many who have fallen off of this freight train that's been moving, and many who are still with us, who have helped us bring it to where it is today.
Now this has got a big history. This had a very unique, before the Carousel Museum was here, it used to be a manufacturing for garments?
Yeah, actually it was part of the Bristol Manufacturing Company. It was a 3-building complex. There were 2 3-floor buildings down closer to Riverside Avenue, and then this was the one in the background that was a 2-level building. And they made women's hosiery, they made women's underthings. And they called it the Ladies' Seminary, and because so many women worked here. But that's how it had its beginnings, I think in 1837.
You can't help but come in here and have a smile on your face, because whether it's the bright colors, the subject matter, or I'm imagining that a lot of people come here to kind of relive their youth.
I think that's all true. The thing that I find most fun is to come out and stand and listen to new groups come in the door, and to a person, they walk into the main gallery and they say, "Oh wow." and when people don't believe me, they'll come and stand here and listen, and the next 10 groups that come in will say, "Oh wow," because I think it is the visual impact of seeing the museum. Most people don't think this is what they're going to get when they come in the front door. The carousel is made up of a lot of components. It's not just horses, it's menagerie figures, which are lions and tigers and goats and giraffes and zebras and pigs and cows and chickens and whatever. They're rarer. There were less of them on carousels at the turn of the century, and so there are less of them that survive today, which adds to their value, of course. But in addition to that, there are chariots, the bench seats that people prefer to ride on, the valance at the top of the ride, which are called rounding boards, shields, and many decorative pieces. And so it's really a fabulously put together moving art form, which is what it boils down to.
What I love about this, it's European and American, it's the entire country, but you can even come in here and almost everybody in Bristol knows Lake Compounce, and there's even an early Lake Compounce horse here.
Yes. Now people get confused about that because that is not from the spiffy new ride they put in place in 1911. The one that's operating down there now is the one that was installed in 1911. This one was before 1911, wow. And it was made by the U.S. Merry-Go-Round Company, and it was very primitive. And so when the new spiffy one came, they threw this one away, and apparently park maintenance people or whoever took some home. They put them on the trash pile, and people ended up with them, and then Stretch Norton in his early days passed it along, had someone pass it along to us, telling us that it was one of the original Lake Compounce pieces. With the Carousel Museum came the donation of a carousel, a working carousel for our building, which added a whole new level to our ability to serve the public, because that's the ultimate hands-on activity in a carousel museum. And we're very fortunate that a major donor stepped up a few years ago and donated a carousel to us.
You know, my father was a wood carver, so what I thought was extremely interesting is it's just not the finished product or one that's been back a long time. There's actually a section of the museum of how they're made.
Oh, for sure. We not only have an exhibition on the carving bay that shows you the process, but we have pieces scattered throughout the museum that show you carousel pieces in various states of disrepair and repair. So we'll show you pieces in a basket, how they've come together so it's stripped down to the bare wood. The next phase would be the primer stage, and so there are horses in here in primer paint, and they look like white plaster statues, but they're not. They're just prepared, made ready for the painters to apply their magic brushes to breathe life back into these pieces, and then obviously finished pieces as well.
You know what I find amazing? This is one of the great attractions of Connecticut, but in between all of that and all the visitors, you have time to hold all of these events.
Yes, and our events happen in two ways. We have events of our own creation, and this year we're doing 138 events. Yes, I know. Yes. They range in size from the Harley-Davidson Street Glide raffle that takes us 6 months to accomplish.
Wow.
So it's an enormous undertaking for us, but it's our biggest fundraiser of the year. Two more simple one-day affairs. We've been having a really good time with the princess teas that we're doing, and they're a Sunday afternoon. Bring your little ones in their ball gowns and their tiaras, and we've got a sea of children in here in their tiaras, and it's just wonderful. And everything imaginable in between.
And you have an art gallery room in there that you can see?
Yes, we have a changing art gallery, and since I've opened that, I've done over 70 shows in there. As a matter of fact, we have a new larger exhibition opening on the 19th, and it is going to be called Ink, and it's all about the history of tattoos, and I think it's going to be exciting. The other way that we do events here is that we do bookings. We do weddings and bar mitzvahs and wine tastings and showers and meetings and whatever, and you can call the museum and book your activity and hold it in one of our, either in the ballroom or in the Glow Sessions gallery, or it's right here on the main floor. I love the smaller weddings we do that are right here on the main floor. They're more intimate and they're
Right.
charming. But if you have to do a big knockdown dance and play hard upstairs in the ballroom, we can do a sit-down dinner for 230 people.
Wow. You know, for the price of admission, it's almost 3 to 1, isn't it? You come in and you got the Carousel Museum, but then there's 2 other attractions.
We put together, back in the day when Hap Barnes was still with us, he donated his entire fire memorabilia collection to us. In 2002, we opened a fire museum on the 2nd floor as to honor the Bristol Fire Department. And then of course we have the Museum of Greek Culture upstairs, and that's kind of still in its infancy, and so it hasn't really reached its full potential, but we're hoping this year that it will.
So what are some of the rare museum pieces here that intrigue you or get the most attention?
Well, I mean, it's like your children. They all get the same exact amount every day.
And some are older than others.
Yes, and you never say one's more your favorite than the other. But there are certainly pieces here that are extraordinary. Our collection that's on display is threefold. Our own private collection for the museum, which of course is wonderful. We started with the one horse 27 years ago, and today we have a substantial collection of our own. And secondly, our pieces that are on long-term loan to the museum by private collectors. And that is invaluable to us because that keeps us changing and adding to what the visual impact is all the time. And then the third, which is, I think, the most exciting, are the pieces that come in for restoration, because they come in the door in one state and they go out the door, having gone through the process, just with new life breathed back into them. And so it's really quite exciting. And that keeps things changing up all the time. Never a dull moment here.
Do you believe it? They let me on the carousel. I guess it's time to stop horsing around. So that's it for this edition of Uniquely Bristol. You want to know more about the New England Carousel Museum, go to their website, www.thecarouselmuseum.org. Want to know more about Bristol? Go to www.bristolallheart.com. I'm Mark Thomas, and that's this edition of Uniquely Bristol.